torture that they put these animals through.
What do you mean?
They get mad and they just whack it with a hook.
You seen them do that?
It fucking breaks my heart.
Our topic today is vegetarianism and the ethics of factory farms. The Goldie Sapiens would like to ask the class, are factory farms unethical? Factory farming is a term referring to the process of raising livestock in confinement at high stocking density, where a farm operates as a factory. The main products of this industry are meat, milk, and eggs for human consumption. In response to the issues surrounding the sustainability and ethics of factory farms, people have turned to vegetarianism, the practice of excluding all meat and fish and sometimes all animal products from one's diet. When most people think of vegetarians, they think of lacto-ovo vegetarians, lacto from the Latin for milk and ovo from the Latin for eggs. These are people who do not eat beef, pork, poultry, fish, shellfish, or animal flesh of any kind, but do eat eggs and dairy products. A lacto-vegetarian is a vegetarian who does not eat eggs, but does eat dairy. An ovo-vegetarian does not eat meat or dairy, but does eat eggs. Vegans do not eat meat of any kind in addition to not eating eggs, dairy products, or processed foods containing these or other animal-derived ingredients. A raw vegan diet consists of unprocessed foods that have not been heated above 115 degrees. Raw foodists believe that foods cooked above this temperature have lost a significant amount of their nutritional value and are harmful to the body. The word pescatarian is occasionally used to describe those who abstain from eating all meat and animal flesh with the exception of fish. The vegetarian movement in the Western world began in the 1800s with the formation of the Vegetarian Federal Union. Its successor, the International Vegetarian Union, was formed in 1908 and remains active today. Frances Moore Lapp launched the vegetarian movement in the U.S. when she published Diet for a Small Planet in 1971, encouraging people to eat meatless meals. Then, Peter Singer published Animal Liberation in 1975, which resulted in the formation of People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, better known as PETA. In the 1990s, the American Dietetic Association officially endorsed vegetarianism, resulting in the U.S. government switching from the 4 food groups model of nutritional education to the food pyramid model, which favors a diet based on grains, vegetables, beans or meat, and fruits. There are over 415 million vegetarians in the world, 399 million in India, 7.3 million in the US, 7 million in Germany, and about 2 million in the rest of Europe. Of the 7.3 million in the US, 1 million are vegans. The total animals killed for food in the US in 2008 were 8.13 billion chickens, 269 million turkeys, 117.6 million pigs, and 40.8 million steers and calves. On the subject of grazing in Western states, one cow can graze 25 to 40 acres per month, and 100 acres if there's a drought. Thankfully, due to climate, cattle don't graze the entire year. Domesticated livestock, like cattle, buffalo, sheep, and goats, produce significant amounts of methane as part of their normal digestive processes. In the rumen, or large forestomach of these animals, microbial fermentation converts feed into products that can be digested and utilized by the animal. This microbial fermentation process, referred to as enteric fermentation, produces methane as a byproduct which can be exhaled by the animal. Affirmative arguments. It is cruel and unethical to kill animals for food. Animals are sentient beings that have social structures and emotions. Scientific studies have shown that cattle, pigs, chickens, and all warm-blooded animals can experience stress, pain, and fear. Organs and functions in the human body prove we have evolved to be primarily vegetarian. Human teeth are short and flat for chewing fibrous food. Carnivores have short intestines, 3 to 6 times body length, while human intestines are long, 10 to 11 times body length, to allow slower digestion of plant foods. The liver of a carnivore can detoxify the excess vitamin A absorbed from a meat-based diet, but the human liver cannot detoxify excess vitamin A. Conditions in factory farms do not adhere to regulations for the ethical treatment of animals, as seen in the video at the beginning of our presentation. Studies have linked heme iron in red meat with an increased risk of colon and rectal cancer. Vegetarian sources of iron, like leafy greens and beans, contain non-heme iron, showing that a vegetarian diet can provide a more healthful form of iron than a meat-based diet. Overgrazing livestock hurts the environment, causing soil compaction, erosion, and harm to native plants and animals. Grazing has damaged 80% of streams and riparian areas in the U.S. and has played a part in 171 species getting listed under the Endangered Species Act. 85% of the land in the western U.S. is used for grazing livestock and thus rendered unsuitable for farming. Abstaining from meat would help these lands revert back to their natural states and provide habitat for native plants and animals. A vegetarian diet can help alleviate world hunger. Over 10 pounds of plant protein are used to produce 1 pound of beef protein. If these grains were fed to humans instead of animals, more food would be available for the 925 million people in chronic hunger worldwide. Research from Cornell University found that the grain used to feed U.S. livestock alone could feed 800 million people. Negative arguments. Every organism on Earth dies so that others may live. It is a cycle, termed interspecific competition. Essentially, kill or be killed. Meat has been an essential part of our evolution for 2.3 million years. The inclusion of meat in the ancestral diet provided a dense form of nutrients and protein that, when combined with high-calorie, low-nutrient carbohydrates such as roots, allowed us to develop our large brains. In addition, our taste buds have evolved to crave the flavor of meat. Factory farms are economically beneficial to farmers and consumers because it is the most efficient way to mass-produce food from animals. It is currently the most efficient way to adhere to the laws of supply and demand. Saturated fats from meat are not to blame for modern diseases like heart disease, cancer, and obesity. Chemically processed and hydrogenated vegetable oils, like corn and canola oil, cause these conditions because they contain harmful free radicals and trans fats formed during chemical processing. Vegetarian diets are not necessarily better for the environment. About 90% of U.S. cropland suffers from topsoil loss at 13 times the sustainable rate. 92% of U.S. soybeans, a vegetarian staple protein, are planted with genetically modified soy immune to herbicides. This immunity allows soy farmers to douse their fields with large quantities of weed-killing herbicides that endanger the environment and are toxic to other plants and fish. Some scientists worry that increased herbicide use could create superweeds. Becoming vegetarian would not help alleviate world hunger. The 925 million people in chronic hunger worldwide are not hungry because people in wealthy countries eat too much meat. The problem is in economics and distribution. According to the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, the world currently produces enough food for everybody, but many people do not have access to it. Questions to ponder.